Got a 2-minute brief overview of your company and your apprenticeship program. So Jonathan, could we start with you?
Sure. So my name is Jonathan Szucs. I'm the general manager of Advanced Superabrasives. We make superabrasive grinding wheels for just about every industry around the world. And we recently started an apprenticeship program about a year ago. And we started it with high school students. And we had our first high school senior graduate in June. And then we did a summer internship for more high school students to try them out. And then from that, we actually had another gentleman that wanted to do the apprenticeship program from that. So he started in August. So we have 2 apprentices, both in CNC machining. And it's been a great program for us. And I can see us continuing and trying to get at least 1 to 2 apprentices each year. And the apprentice candidate that did not start this fall, that was part of our internship program, his hope is to start with us in the spring as an intern this year.
Great. Can we hear from Al Worley, the president of AlphaTech?
Yes, I'm Al Worley, and I own a business called AlphaTech, and we're a job shop. And what that means is we do machining, fabrication, and several other things. Along with that, we do hire apprentices. I would like to tell you this is, first of all, is I'm an apprentice. I was an apprentice many years ago, and that's the way I gained where I'm at today, because I couldn't afford college back then, and so I became an apprentice. So I'm a very strong proponent of apprenticeships. We have hired apprentices for many years. Our company used to be Industrial Precision. That was in 1982, and we had a lot of apprentices. We kind of quit hiring apprentices in 2008 because the economy went bad. First time in our life that we ever had to allow people to go, but we just couldn't add any more people. So then we started back again, and now we have 4 apprentices. We have another one that's coming on real soon. And of course, I would like to say what we do is we do CNC machining, we do fabrication and welding, we do a lot of sheet metal work, we design and build special machinery, and we build tools, dies, and those sorts of things, and do stamping. So we have a pretty good smorgasbord of things that we do in our company. And so we have to have really skilled people. It's always been a challenge for us to find apprentices that had the mechanical aptitude to learn how to do the skill work that is required. We can't bring somebody in just to do that. But we plan to continue to do that. We've been pretty successful with our apprentices. Some of our people that were apprentices are 30 years old that's been with us, or been with us 30 years, not 30 years old, but been with us for 30 years. And so, and there's probably about 4 or 5 of those, and they've been with me for that many years. We employ about 40-something people, and and we do design work. We design and build tooling, automated machinery, and we have some special products that we do, but we do products for other companies. We build all the components for gas analyzers, for the fuel industry. We do a lot for electrical products. We do a lot of work for instrumentation, where we build tools and gauges that check flow. And then we have a few of our own products, which I won't tell you about. But anyway, that's kind of a little bit about what we do.
And from GE, we have Terry Collins, the HR director, and Johnny Beaver, our facilities engineer.
So I want to give you just a quick summary. Obviously, we're probably one of the larger employers here. But I think if you drill down, the needs that we have are no different than anybody else in this room. So just to give you a quick, I was told to be real brief because I brought the expert with me. I'm going to let him talk. But General Electric, about 330,000 employees worldwide, 125,000 here in the U.S. We've got about 200 manufacturing facilities in the United States, about 15,000 suppliers, and we've added about 19,000 jobs since 2009. Here in North Carolina, so we'll drill down a little deeper, we've got about 5,000 employees total. That's with all the GE businesses. We spend about $750 million a year with suppliers in the state of North Carolina. We've got locations in Asheville, Durham, West Jefferson, East Flat Rock, Cary, Mebane, and Wilmington. Coming down to our specific location in Hendersonville, we've been there for a long time, since 1955. We've got about 450 employees, about 110 temporary employees. Invested quite a bit of money the last few years, $40 to $45 million to kind of re-up the place. And some of you, I think, have been over in the last year or two to see what we've done. It's pretty exciting. We've hired 75 new people last year, and this year we'll add another 40 people. So with all that said, we've come back from sort of 1 foot in the grave about 6 years ago to, we're rocking and rolling now. I'm living the dream. The problem that we're facing is, sustainability of talent. So finding and keeping good talent, particularly in the skilled trades, the maintenance, and ours is maintenance folks. Okay, so that's a quick summary. We are trying to take, and I think Johnny will mention this when we get to a little more detail, we're trying to take a long-term view, and I think I said this at one of our previous meetings. If you're looking for a short-term fix, the apprenticeship program ain't going to do it for you, okay? That's just the reality. So if you're looking long-term, and I think most of you plan on being around another 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and I think really from an apprenticeship standpoint, you've got to look long-term, to get your return on investment. It's hard work setting up a program and getting it in place. Managing the program is really not very difficult once you get it up and running. I think you guys have found that to be true as well. So that's a little bit about us and some of our needs. Again, very similar to what most folks are facing in the skilled trade areas.
Okay, and Sarah Dunn from GE Aviation.
Yep. Hello, good morning everyone. So Terry gave you a good overview of GE as a company. I'll talk a little bit more specifically about our GE Aviation site in Asheville. So we've got 2 plants right across the street from each other. One of them is only 2 years old, so you might have heard about our new composite plant that we built here recently. So we make component parts for jet engines and helicopter engines. That's probably the simplest way to explain it. And those jet engines and helicopter engines are both commercial and military. So we make rotating parts as well as some composite parts. We've been GE at that facility since 2007. And we've had an apprenticeship program with GE since 2008. I think we may have had an apprenticeship program even predating GE with previous owners. So we focus our apprenticeship program on skilled machinists, mostly CNC machining. And we've got, I think, 8 or so people currently in various phases of that apprenticeship program. We've got lots of alumni working at our plant today that have come through the program over the years, both as GE and before GE was the owner. We've got 3 more that we're going to start here in the next couple of weeks, with line of sight to even more next year and more following that. We've got a unique thing going on where the new plant that we built, the composite plant, is growing at a pretty rapid rate, and so we are hiring externally into that plant and also internally from our existing rotating parts plant, giving employees opportunities to get to first shift that are maybe working second shift or third shift today in rotating parts. So we've got sort of a double whammy need to replace those skilled machinists as they go to our composite plant, and also just replace attrition or support growing demand volume as we take more product on in both of our plants. So the apprenticeship has been what we found to be a great way to do that. They come up to speed very quickly. Our apprenticeship program is a mix of working with the high schools as well as the community colleges, as well as people who are, I'll say, like second career, interested in manufacturing. So we've found the ability to be very flexible with our apprenticeship program. We've got some core requirements, but we can make that work whether someone is, again, in high school, community college, or otherwise. So it's been great.
And Reggie Gaither from Meritor.
Yeah, my name is Reggie Gaither. I work at Meritor. We actually build commercial axles for the 18-wheeler trucks you see running down the highway. Our building has been there for about 34 years, 35 years. And with that, we have some machinery that's been in that building for 34 or 35 years. So it's very important to us to make sure we have skilled trades folks that can keep that machinery running 3 shifts a day. A lot of our, we've got about 380 employees full-time. Of that, about 50 skilled trades. The average age of those tradesmen, they're ready to start to retire. So we've been really focusing in on the apprenticeship program for the past, for a number of years, but we recently had 2 graduate. I've got 2 or 3 in the program right now that are going through it, but we actually bring in our apprentices from our production employees. So I don't necessarily go out and advertise I'm hiring from the outside for an apprentice. I actually post a position for all of our internal employees, and our employees are signing up for it. Every time we post, we have a line of folks that we can't bring everybody on because it gives an opportunity for those production employees to, one, earn a little bit more money. We do pay our tradesmen a little bit more than our production employees, but also they know the machines and the equipment. Working closely with the schools, whether any of the community colleges that we work with, it also helps because we have some new equipment coming in, and so our apprentices are the first ones to we have them working on some of the new. I have a laser welding machine that just came in the door, so we're really focusing in on that. But I've also got a bliss press that's been there for 35 years that takes a little coddling and has to be done the right way. So our experienced folks can show the new folks how to make sure it continues to run. But the new machines that are in there, we also work with the schools and the classes to make sure that we've got the new technology and a new skill set that's coming in the door. So similar to what Terry said, it was not a quick fix. You're not going to get folks out the door. This is something you have to invest in and make sure that you've got the right people coming into the program, because there is going to be some fallout. Life happens. I have some apprentices that have started and life has happened and they haven't been able to finish the program, so we move on. And it's not just the millennials, sometimes it's the older folks also. So you just got to have an investment in that.
And Fred, I'm going to skip you on this question because you were up before. So several of you talked about sustainability and skilled workforce, but can you tell us really what prompted you to start your registered apprenticeship program? What pain were you feeling? And what really got you to make that investment? And anybody who wants to speak up.
I'll jump in. So at GE Lighting, our lighting plant in Henderson County, we've had a long-standing apprentice program that really started back in the 50s and 60s. And when the business came to Henderson County, the skill sets weren't there. The only way we were really going to get it was to build it internally, and you had to if you wanted to do that kind of skilled work. The assessments had been made. They knew the people in the county were available to do that kind of work, so they built the business here. But then you got to go staff it, and you need a way to train and get the right skill sets in. We operate a fairly large die-cast shop. We have lots of big hydraulic machines. We had, over the years, we've grown into a lot of CNC type work. Even just recently, we've brought in electronics manufacture, surface mount technologies, which is, very exciting, brand new type stuff, very fast, high-speed machines that do a lot of very precise work. And you need lots of different skill sets for that. At the time we were starting that, the community colleges, tech schools at the time really weren't developed to deliver a lot of that because they didn't really start escalating until late 60s, early 70s time frame. So apprenticeship was the way you began to build that. What we discovered even later on is that you really want to have that that educational background, that learning that you can develop through an apprenticeship program, and we later partnered with the community colleges to provide that, because you get that long-term thinking and the capability to roll with the technology as it progresses over the years, which it's going to do, and you know it's going to do. You don't think you hire people and you set up this long-term commitment. They start with you, and 5-10 years down the road, wow, technology's different. What do we do now? The people we train don't know how to do that. So you have to have that educational background coupled with it, along with that practical how to do it today in the environment you have. You have to have that long-term thinking and the educational ability to move with the technology. So it becomes an all-around look at the big picture. How do you take it from today and keep the growth going over the long term? So, we started there because we had to. We kept doing it because it was the smart thing to keep your business growing.
Jonathan, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, with our program, the reason why we had to do it was because we couldn't get them from the community college system or even the high school. So a lot of these kids would come out, and we don't have the full power that a GE or a Meritor or somebody like that has. As a small company, it's very difficult for us to find employees. So we had to look outside of the box for us, which kind of led us to the apprenticeship. And also we like to what we call homegrown, because it's CNC machining, but it's our CNC machining. It's our way we do it, which is different than other people. So for us, it's even more important for us to have that one-on-one training and that longevity and that loyalty that comes with the apprenticeship program, where if you hire somebody from AvTech and you offer them a starting salary, they have no loyalty to you whatsoever. So if they hear that Valvor's hiring and they get 50 cents more an hour, they're a lot more likely to jump ship for that. So that really became a necessity for us, because we just couldn't find qualified candidates anywhere we looked.
Okay, and Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of the reasons that have been said, the type of work that we do and the type of machining, we also hire experienced machinists externally that come from other manufacturers and other shops. But to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, there can be equal parts training with an external hire who's got 10 years of experience as there is with an apprentice out of their senior year in high school, just because what we do, the tolerances that we hold, the materials we work with, the machines that we use, and the controls that we use are just different than what people have experience in. So I think part of the need for the apprenticeship program is out of necessity. Part of it that we found as well, and I'm relatively new to the site, so I admittedly don't have all the history, but we had a long-term employee who went into Pisgah High School from a teaching perspective, I think in their machining class. And I think part of that relationship and him seeing potential in some of those students and thinking they could be a good fit for our site also helped to kind of launch and foster that apprenticeship program, which may have already existed at the time, but it's certainly in the GE era of ownership helped cultivate it and sort of give it momentum to keep going.
And Fred, maybe you could speak about the sustainability piece, like what has kept your company moving forward with registered apprenticeship?
Part of it is just the sheer success of it and the fact that we do build that company loyalty, we do promote the culture so that it perpetuates itself. And so just the opportunity to do that it's proven itself. So it's not been so much of something we could quantify as much as qualify and say it works.
And Reggie?
I think a lot of our tradesmen it's almost kind of a fraternity, right? A lot of them have been through the apprenticeship program, and they look forward to working with that next person coming on. So they really enjoy, getting the chance, because they sign off on the OJT, right? So our tradesmen sign off that, they have spent the time with this person on this machine, and he or she is good at it. So I think it's become kind of a, like I said, a kind of a fraternity piece to it, and it also makes sure that we have the right folks that are in the building. I think our biggest asset is our people. I know I'm the HR guy, I shouldn't say that, but our biggest asset is the people, and they actually get along now, right? So if you're working with somebody and training them, you become much more engaged as a tradesman, and our trades folks work very closely with the engineers and the production folks. So you can't walk in as a tradesman and say, oh, this is all wrong. You got to be able to talk to the operator who's been on that machine for 8.5 hours, ask him did he hear that machine start to break down or whatever, so we can kind of get it fixed ahead of time. So it just kind of has become more of a, like I said, kind of a fraternity, I think is the way to say it.
And Al, what about sustainability for you? Why do you keep moving forward with the program?
Well, one thing is there's not really any other way of getting employees, and there's not any skilled tool and die makers out there. So we have our apprenticeship for that. And it's a great way to train people. And I think the ones we get, people we really look for is people that like diversity. You don't do the same thing for 8 hours a day. You don't change a part out and put another one in every 2 or 3 minutes. You're always doing something different. So you may have one job you work on for 2 or 3 hours, or maybe a day, or maybe 30 minutes. But it's always challenging to the person, and so people that like to do various things and like to use their mind and their hands, and I think that's why we are able to keep the people that we have, because they enjoy that. We try to take our apprentices and match them with a tool maker or whoever they may be working with, and so our tool makers really like to help young people. I mean, we're fortunate in having the people we have, because they'll spend the time and effort and energy that they need to help that apprentice learn. So he feels very comfortable in coming into our place working, and you'll be surprised how quickly they can learn to do some things. So it's good for us, and that's why we go with apprentices.
So the next question is it worth it? And what are the benefits? And Fred, could you take that one? Is it worth it, and what are the benefits?
It is worth it. Again, sound a little bit like a broken record, because they do wind up long-term employees, and we have different career paths that people can come through. So we have people working in our warehouse, project managers, estimators that have all started out as apprentices at some point. We do use that as a way to advance things. So it's been worth it for us. Again, looking at some of the numbers you had on the board, over the long haul, the numbers will crunch too. So it's expensive. I mean, it does take a lot of time. It does take some effort, and it is an investment, but it's an investment that yields real good returns.
GE?
Certainly, it's worth it. And they are frequently very long-term employees. I guess had the privilege of seeing 2 of our long-term apprentices retire that I hired, which is like, that's not fair, but, but it does work that way sometimes. They had a little bit of age and experience on them when we brought them into the apprentice program, and that's great. They had a nice, long, fulfilling career out of it. We got great work out of them the entire time. To me, from the very beginning, they do real work day one. We put them to work with the journeyman, and they are doing real work. So, from a cost of having somebody there, they're doing real work. We're not really losing anything in doing that. I don't even see that as a big cost, other than we've made a commitment to them, but they're helping the business do day-to-day work, which is great. So all we're really in for, in my mind, is the cost of going to school. And by the time we got to the 80s, we were partnering with Blue Ridge Community College, and so it's tuition and books, which is not terribly expensive. over the course of depending on what courses they may need to take, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 over 4 years maybe for books and tuition. That's not a huge amount of money in my mind. If you get real labor out of them through the whole process, and some of it, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you always, no matter what kind of person you bring in the door, they have to learn your business, your methods, your safety training, all of the things that happen at your site that's different from everybody else. So yes, very much worth it.
So Jonathan, could you take that one, and especially since you're a smaller organization?
Yeah, it is worth it for us on so many levels. Whether we hire somebody from the street or we bring them in as our apprentice, we're looking at the same amount of money that we're going to spend to train them. So what would you rather take your chances on? An apprentice builds the loyalty. It also builds camaraderie in the company. The more skilled workers that you have that are doing the training really take to the young apprentices. And we've seen the morale in the shop boost with the apprentices. And when the apprentices succeed and they gain more knowledge, the whole morale and everything of the shop actually lifts up. And so it has been great because, in all honesty, we have a lot of people that are nearing retirement. And so the morale and everything kind of out in the shop atmosphere was a little bit stale until we got our apprentices. So it's very worth it, especially from that standpoint. And to quantify it, I can tell you that our apprentice that's been there over a year actually was looking at a process that we do. And sometimes it's good to have new, uneducated eyes looking at a process because they see things that people that do it every day don't. And on one particular process, we were doing a machining operation and 3 operations. And then after we apply our diamond and everything, it was coming back for a finishing operation. And the apprentice just posed a good question to the trainer and said, is there a reason why we do the 3rd operation when we basically do the same operation after we apply our diamond mixture to it? And the trainer says, you're right. And they went and they got the production manager and they all looked at it and they said, you know what, we don't have to do a 3rd op. So when we're doing 1,000 of these pieces, that's 1,000 ops that we look at that we don't have to do that technically we would do again. But again, these fresh eyes and these fresh ideas make it all the worthwhile because, as most people know, in a shop facility, if you do the same thing, you get into that rut of this is the way we've always done it. And it's nice that these apprentices can come in and get this base knowledge and then, share their ideas. And sometimes they're really good ideas, and sometimes you look at them and you go, okay, you need more training. But, it's great for the kids, whether it's adult apprentices or the young kids. We think it's well worthwhile, even for a small company. It's even more worthwhile for us. Because like I said, we don't have that branding and that name recognition that a lot of the larger companies have.
Okay, Reggie, would you take that one?
It's definitely worth it. Even as John was saying, even with the name recognition, you still got to make sure that folks are coming in the door that understand your business and your machines to keep you running. And so we have to continue with the apprenticeship program. We have to continue to take folks who are on the production floor and bring them over into maintenance to help us continue to keep those machines running. So it's definitely worth it.
And what have been your lessons learned? Who would like to, Al, would you like to start with that one?
Sure. I would like to say that there is a risk in hiring apprentices. We get them in, we spend money, we train them, and then these guys hire them away from them. But not too many. Most of our apprentices stay with us. But I think having an apprentice is a great way to go. We get them, and if they have the mechanical aptitude, we can train them very quickly and very easily. And so it takes about 4 years, and most people develop within that time. And let me just say a little more. our apprentices, we pay for everything. We pay them to work, we pay them to go to school, we buy their books, and I'm sure everybody else does too, which is a great thing. And, you know, usually if a guy comes off the street, we pay him $10 an hour to start. 6 months, we may pay him 12, depend on how well he does. Another 6 months, we do give them graduated raises as they mature. And some mature faster and quicker than others do. So we're pleased to have these apprentices. And the only way that we can get them is if we hire people that have experience, and we interview people all the time, and they come in, and there's all kinds of baggage that they bring with them. Either they didn't like their previous employers, none of them. Well, would you hire that guy? No. Well, they got mad at the job, or they did something. And then we bring them in, and you're paying them $25 an hour or so, and they can't do the job. So you can invest in an apprentice, pay him $10 an hour, and he can grow gradually. You can train him to do what you want him to do, how you want it done, because you've got experienced people there to handle it. I don't know if I answered your
Great.
question.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And Sarah?
So one of our lessons learned in the way that we had the program set up was that we would have people come in as apprentices. After 6 months on the program, they were eligible to apply for full-time, sort of full-fledged roles within the company. And when they did that and they were hired and successful, we had a pretty significant drop-off rate with sort of finishing up all the requirements of the apprentice program, finishing the education requirements. So we made a change probably a year and a half or so ago to make offer letters for full-time employment to apprentices contingent upon full successful completion of the apprenticeship program. And so if they don't, you know, their offer at whatever point could be rescinded, their employment could be kind of rescinded in that way. So that has been a change for us that's been helpful to retain people to fully commit and continue through the entire program.
Fred?
One is to be very careful with where you do pair them up and who you pair them up with. So often in our work, we need 8 people at this job and 6 people at this one and 10 over here. And oh my gosh, this over here, somebody's gotten behind it. They've had a big change. We need more people here. And we're prone to just try to unplug somebody from one place and plug them in someplace else, and you can't do that, especially with apprentices. So, and to Reggie's point, as far as making sure that you do get them well-rounded by working them in different places and taking the time to do that. The other is just with the instructors for the one night a week that they come to class during the winter months. We making sure we've got enthusiastic instructors, making sure that and one of the things we did do is we changed, okay, the first 30 minutes, ask them what they did today and what's going on in their job. Big picture things. Because so often I ran pipe today. Ran pipe yesterday. Ran pipe last week. You know, where's it going? What's it doing? What's going to be the next phases? What are you learning in that? How much more proficient have you gotten? So taking about a half an hour at the front end of it to just engage with them and encourage them in what they're doing.
Jonathan, can you take that? Lessons learned?
Well, yeah, our lessons learned was last year we started with 2 apprentices, and one was ready and one was not. And so what we did is we do summer internships now before we actually start somebody in the apprenticeship program. It gives them about a month to try us out and let us try them out. And we're not, you know, for everybody, and sometimes manufacturing is not for everybody. And we find that 1 month gives them an opportunity to kind of see if we're a fit for them, if they're a fit for us, and also if it's something they want to do. The worst thing that can happen is what happened to me. Hired some CNC programmers out of AlphaTech, and they were very skilled, but one of them, it just wasn't what he wanted to do. And the other one just did not want to work in a production environment. I mean, I don't know who becomes a CNC machinist and decides they don't want to work in production. It happens. You know, the guy says, I want to sit behind a desk and write programs all day. I said, well, good luck. Okay? But, you know, for us, our lesson learned was to have that 1 month internship, then invite the ones in that are ready. And we had a 1 month internship this summer, and one student was ready and one wasn't. And that also allows us to work with the schools to let them know what this other student might have been lacking in base knowledge to start the apprenticeship. And it's been a great partnership between the two. So I'd say that's a lesson learned. And I'd like to say something about risk. You know, there's a risk in everything you do. Right now I'm sitting in Chicago. I mean, I'm taking the biggest risk of anybody. If you've seen any of the news about Chicago. You know, I guess we're risk takers, but in business you have to take risks in order to get rewarded. And I think, you know, the apprenticeship program, people might look at it as a big risk, and I don't. I think it's a very calculated and very small risk compared to the reward that you get.
GE?
I think probably the biggest lesson learned is once you build a program and have it running, don't ever let it take a break. Always keep your pipeline filled, you know, keep something in the pipeline continually. My experience in 30 years has been, we've had 2 times when we actually let the apprentice program slow. You know, we didn't put anybody in it. And you go 3 or 4 years and don't keep that pipeline full, all of a sudden you end up with 2 retirements like I have this year, and I'm hurting to have all the people I need to fill the jobs that are out there that need to be done. So keep that pipeline going. Once you start it, just hang on, because it's going to continue to pay off for you over time. So, you know, keep it full, keep it going, and continue to train.
Reggie?
Ditto. I think one of the things I would say lessons learned is really the apprentice has a commitment, but you've got to make a commitment to that apprentice. For us, we actually worked and created an apprenticeship committee of fellow skilled tradesmen that are working with what is this person going to be training on. So you got to give that apprentice the opportunity to succeed also. And so so for us, that's really helped continue to grow the apprenticeship program. So you got to see what you're going to do inside also, not just write a check, but also help them make sure they're learning the jobs and everything like that.
So we have a few minutes left, and I wanted to give the folks in the audience the opportunity to ask questions. Jerry.
Jerry Broom. I do workforce development in McDowell County. First of all, thank you guys for taking your time to be here. We do appreciate that. Secondly, we work with young folks and adults, and I think one of the things that would help us, and probably would help you as well, what sort of assessments, Al mentioned mechanical aptitude, what sort of assessments can we do to work with these folks to let them know they have that gift? Because I think it is a gift doing these technical jobs. Is there an assessment that you would recommend to say, you know, this person has it versus someone like myself who wouldn't have it?
Well, I know at Blue Ridge Tech they have work keys where they can test the student to see if they have mechanical aptitude or not.
Which skill was that?
There's 3. There's 3 of them, right?
Applied technology?
Applied technology.
Yeah. That's going away. Is there another one that, I know, Reggie, you mentioned your incumbent folks.
We actually send our the folks that apply through a series of batteries of math tests. We want to understand where their math skills are. I mean, when I looked at the test myself and I was like, I can't do that. I'm not that guy. So I mean, it is a very detailed math oriented, making sure they understand geometry, metric systems, a lot of math. On top of that, for us, it's not just that assessment as far as the technical side, but it's also what's your communication skills? Can you communicate with an operator, an electrician? Can you communicate with an engineer? Can you communicate with the manager? You got to be able to communicate. So that's part of the overall interview and assessment process that we look at.
I agree with the math. Math is one of the strongest pieces as an indicator that they will be able to be successful as they continue through their education, and that's very important. If they can't get the math, they're going to struggle on everything else.
Well, just one quick follow-up. What would that person bring you to prove that they had it?
They could take the applied math test from work keys at the community college.
Yeah.
At what level would that be? Just trying to really drill down.
I think it would depend on the job. It would depend on the job.
Most manufacturing is going to be applied in math, especially in the technical arenas such as maintenance or technicians. Because at level 5, you're doing multiple step computations and conversions between imperial and metric.
And she is a job profiler, so she knows.
I would just add blueprint reading, and so if they've not had the opportunity to do that, just, and this isn't a perfect answer, but in addition to math, blueprint reading is important, or the ability to learn to read blueprints, and the ability to use, measurement devices is important too, but that can be taught.
You know, you may think this is what I'm about to say.
I know what you're getting ready to say.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's going to be silly. But one thing I found out is give somebody a bag of mixed bolts and nuts and say, put these together, and you got 2 minutes to do that. If they do that in 2 minutes, they pretty well have got some kind of mechanical aptitude. And I know you think that's probably stupid, but
No,
it works.
It works.
We had one of our employers, did they take their toys apart when they were kids? Not because they were mean, but they found a screwdriver, they found the vacuum cleaner. That's what I'm trying to get to drill down at, that's.
We have another question here.
A couple of things. First of all CTE concentrators in North Carolina, their senior year in high school, take the work keys test, and it has 3 parts: reading for information, locating information, and applying math. So they should all, in my school last year, I had 200 students graduate. 160 of those were CTE concentrators, and they all had the work keys test. So I had 160 students coming out of Owen High School, which is the smallest school in the county, with a work keys certificate. Also, I had 50 interns last year. Every year we can have 24 interns a semester. So I'm usually pretty much at the top of my limit. So I have 50 interns coming out of Owen High School. Do you guys offer anything besides the couple of apprenticeships that we've heard about? It seems like each one of you have 2 or 3 apprenticeships. Do you have something to offer all these other students that we're producing from the high schools?
Are you talking about like an intern co-op type?
Summer program.
Just anything else besides an apprenticeship? I mean, that's, or do you have more slots in your apprenticeship? I have the smallest school, and I have these students coming out, but they don't know about the opportunities that are being provided.
Occasionally, we have had interns come in, or co-op, back when it was called co-op, and we would have students come in and work for a while. We did that with Haywood Community College. Even though we're in Mills or in Fletcher, we worked with them. So we have done that in the past, and we are willing to do that, but because of our size, it has to be on a small scale.
Would that be like college-age students, or could it be high school-age students?
It could be high school age students. We would interview them very carefully and understand their abilities of what to do, because we got to know that they won't get hurt, and because you can get hurt bad in a machine shop.
So my job as a moderator is to manage time, and we are out of time. I'm hopeful that our panelists will stay, and if you have questions for them, you can talk with them individually. But thank you so much to our